Good morning, Wabash. Speaking today at Pioneer Chapel will be my brother, Hugh Vandivier, class of 91, with his talk titled, Stop, Start, Continue. Hugh Vandivier is starting his 7th year on the Wabash Advancement staff, where he serves as the Associate Director of Annual Giving. He grew up on a farm in Franklin, Indiana, and lives in Indianapolis, where he enjoys lap swimming, writing, reading, concerts, movies, art openings, great local food and drink, and engaging conversation of good friends. He strongly encourages you to join LinkedIn, where you can start connecting with the country's best alumni network and find out from his profile just what all you can do with a Wabash English major and philosophy minor. So let's give a warm welcome to Hugh.
Good morning, Wabash. I love that. First, I'd like to thank Ian Holmberg and the Sphinx Club for inviting me to fill in this chapel talk. And you got me to wear a suit, so thanks. Before I begin, I need to explain what just happened to those of you watching in the future. So after Cooper introduced me, we played Mama Said Knock You Out by LL Cool J. Came out my senior year here. And I try to be a great steward of the college's money. So I'd rather that we spend it on opportunities for all of you and not paying royalties to Def Jam Records, okay? So it's the start of the new year, and I wanted to announce my presence with some authority. And also I got the great idea I got a Wabash Always Cites. So I wanted to credit Michelle Pittard, Dr. Michelle Pittard, who talked about a walk-up song in her August 2018 chapel talk. So that's where the idea came from. So, okay then, now that the present and the future are all caught up, let's begin. So every New Year's Day on social media, and for a while now, I post a wish. It's a wish for all of us as we circle the sun once again. And my entreaty goes like this. This year, may we all endeavor to solve more problems than we create. Now, this being the dawn of a new school year, I think it seems an apt charge for us at Wabash. And also, I think the timing is still right because we're still emerging from the worst of the COVID-19 pandemic. There, I know, I said it. I said pandemic, I said COVID. Calm down, it's okay. But I bring this up because I'm really noticing something about me personally and about the general behavior of people I interact with. Now, believe it or not, I grew up as kind of a shy kid. And one of the best things that Wabash did for me was put me on a path to becoming more confident and finding my voice and discovering who I am. But since 2020, I feel like I'm much more reserved. Now, this campus gives me the comfort to be more outgoing and be energetic. But when I'm home in Indianapolis, I have to admit it, I'm really, really hating strangers. I'm more annoyed. I'm less polite. Inside, I seethe with some impatience, especially at the 3 people in the coffee shop who are in line in front of me, ordering a whipped cream milk latte frappuccino with sprinkles or some such thing, while I just want a large coffee-flavored coffee, black. I find strangers I encounter to be more socially awkward, more self-centered, oblivious even, rude, demanding. So please tell me, is anybody else experiencing this? Or is it just me? Are you feeling like this in your own life, you personally? A year ago, there was such excitement on this campus before you even got here. And I could tell things were going to be different. But I also found myself saying a new mantra, which was re-entry is hard. as we all emerged from lockdowns and face masks and acrylic shields and testing. And my observation of you, our students, was that they don't know what they don't know yet as we push the reset button after the disruptions that we had on this campus. Now, I think Wabash might be a great place to push that reset button and try an exercise that worked really well for me in a previous job. I was really fortunate to be part of the marketing department and eventually the newsroom at Angie's List, where we would periodically get together for an exercise called Stop, Start, Continue, both to streamline how we worked and to provide some honest critique. Everything was fair game, and no one was immune to this exercise. Even the head of the department got called out for being in meetings, checking email, when she should have been present during them. So I also need to frame this exercise in another experience that I had from the job that I had just before taking the job here at Wabash. It was for a startup, and the company was really mission-driven, and I really liked their core values, which they really tried to live by. They included statements like, "We make time for life. We share before we are ready. We have difficult conversations. And we critique in love." Now, I ask that you remember the last one, because we're all passionate about the work we do at this campus and the good work that the faculty, staff, coaches, alumni, and student leaders do for the benefit of all of us who live, study, work, and play here. So, I critique out of love when I say, start. Let's start celebrating our successes. All of us work really hard here and put our passion into our work. So at a point of accomplishment, it's a really good time to take a pause and say, as Kurt Vonnegut once recommended, exclaim or murmur or think at some point, if this isn't nice, I don't know what is. Now, we're going to celebrate on October 7th, believe me, and here's why. I'm proud to work for an advancement team that really helps make Wabash the envy of our peer institutions. It helps when you have an army of dedicated parents, friends, and volunteers. And alumni, of course. Now, how many of you have heard of the Giant Steps campaign? Hope there's a lot. So 5 years ago, we launched it on the eve of the 125th Monon Bell game with a really audacious goal of raising $225 million for this college. Had never been done before. When we closed the campaign at the end of June, we had raised $250 million from more than 12,000 donors. Something that is close to my heart, the Day of Giving in April, raised $1.67 million, a record, which comes out to $2,107 for each student here. Now, for those upperclassmen, if you remember, I wore a shirt that says Danny's blew a $440,000 lead. Guess how much they raised per student? $259. Shots fired. And also, as we ended the last fiscal year, once again, Wabash saw 40% alumni participation for the 10th year in a row. That puts us in the top 5 of all small liberal arts colleges in this country, and something that we should beat our chest and be proud of. So let's celebrate, right? I started easy. I started with the easy one, right? So I want us all to start rethinking how we conduct Rush. Silence. And I say this here, not with a quick and easy solution or with an answer. I say this because I see a problem that has been developing since I was a senior here, and it continues to evolve, okay? So I ask the question, does it make sense for a high school senior, who in most cases is deciding whether he wants to go here, to be rushed and to choose where he wants to live. Hasn't seemed to be a problem, but I see things on the horizon that might become a problem. Talk to anybody who hasn't filled their fraternity up yet. So what does this mean for homecoming if we defer rush, and how does this all work out? Again, I think it's worth us getting all the constituencies together, students, alumni advisors, faculty advisors, parents, to discuss good solutions for going forward. We're so resistant to change sometimes. I think that I think we also need to think critically about how we do things. So now, while I'm talking about fraternities for a second, let me also talk about something that I think can be a very positive and good thing that we all should do. And that is that we should, right now, most of you in fraternities are waiting from those on high at your nationals or international level to decide how long your pledgeship's going to be, what your requirements are, and they're playing defense from a liability standpoint of how they look at pledgeship. I think there's a model there that we've already done, and it comes from how we built and remodeled the houses in the 90s and early aughts. I was part of that for my house, but also part of the larger thing, because the first house that, first off, let's say this. Colleges and universities are not in the business of building chapter houses for fraternities, but they're not Wabash, okay? And so when the Betas did their renovation, they took what they learned and what the college learned, and they passed that on to the Lambda Chis when they did their renovation, then when the Sigma Chis built their new house. And all of that was knowledge that was passed on, and all of us who are usually so competitive really worked together to make all of these houses renovated and built. I say we can do that for, first off, I say let's stop calling it pledgeship. Let's rebrand it, because what we really should be, as people who are professionally minded, with so many people who want to be entrepreneurs on this campus, let's think about making it some sort of onboarding or new membership. Now, these are just words, but you got to do the other things after that, okay? One of the things, and this happened recently, and I overheard this, that pledges were made to learn the starting lineup of the 1976 undefeated IU basketball team. Would you go IU, right? But would you rather learn that or memorize that? Wouldn't you rather learn those of your brothers who are trustees, NAWM directors, regional leaders, class agents, prominent alumni who make Wabash proud? Wouldn't that be something that you should all learn, right? I think a new version of pledgeship should add in community service, and not just on the weekends, and I'll talk a little bit more about this later. Continue study tables and mentoring that you all do very well. Continue or start adding responsibility to what you are expected of your new brothers, but also the upperclassmen need to model that as well. Start getting your neophytes over career services early and now. And stop treating your pledges like dirt. They're going to be your brothers one day, and there's nothing worse than having them resent a senior who they should be a loving brother. There, I said it. This is in the start category, but I need to insert a stop here. Let's stop calling them cold dorms. Parents are already nervous about moving their sons into your chapter house, and trust me, my freshman year, I did stay in a cold dorm with snow on my bed. All of our houses are hopefully temperature controlled now. And think about it this way: you're starting a new job, and you're led in and on orientation, and they say, "Here's the office space that we've got for you. It's open concept, and we call it the swamp." I worked in a building called the Swamp. I think we're already on this and talking about community service, but I think fraternities and the other clubs and organizations are really starting to work with Community Partnerships Coordinator Leanne Parrish with the idea of adopting a Crawfordsville nonprofit. It's a great idea. I think we should really work to make that happen as something you're doing more than just a weekend. While there are lots of great causes to raise money for as in philanthropy area, you as students can really make a great impact on this community that you live in for your time here. Another start. Start getting more sleep. It's a tough one, right? Now, Jim Amanat did not put me up to this, but the President's Distinguished Speaker Series will be bringing Dr. Chris Winter here in a few weeks, and he'll deliver his talk on September 13th. I urge everyone to attend that or one of his sessions that week, because he's really going to talk about ways that sleep affects everything, especially for young men, and especially for you guys, okay? All right, we're going to move on to the stops, and I'm going to start with a really easy one. You ready? Stop leaving the toilet seats up. We're encountering so many more restrooms now that are available to everybody, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let's be courteous, okay? Little things matter. Stop thinking that Wabash has passed all of our traditions on the same exact way for decades. You'd really be surprised at how new some of these traditions are and how many have evolved. I mean, it's not like on November 21st, 1832, that our 9 founders rose, wiped the snow from their pant legs, walked around the arch, painted the senior bench while belting out a hearty rendition of Old Wabash, right? So let's start being open to making the changes that are useful to carrying on a tradition that matters, but carrying on the values of it. That's what really means a lot when we talk about tradition here at this camp, on this college. Now, I know it's early, and I said it, I nibbled at it before, but stop putting off going to career services. How many people want access to this alumni network that you were sold on to go here? Should be everybody. Believe me, taking some time to create and polish your resume, join LinkedIn, grab a brew at Coffee and Careers, sign up for mock interviews, using the suit room, all of these will ensure that you do not look like a fool when meeting them. To those who love Wabash who aren't on this campus a lot, I've carefully considered how I'm going to say this, so here goes. When you read or see stories or op-eds or commentary in the national media about the sorry state of higher education or the state of men, please stop blindly attributing it to what's going on at Wabash College. Continue to trust that this college still has bright students who challenge, defend, and explore ideas, and many of whom are developing those same strong relationships with their mentors and each other, even if they don't share the same opinions. In the words of the rock band The Who, the kids are all right. Now to continue. Continue showing the politeness to guests, to kids with red folders, and to those whom you pass in the mall. Now, I try to say good morning or good afternoon to people that I pass. I'm not always good at it, believe it or not. I have to look at it. It's awkward sometimes, it feels awkward sometimes, and yet I try, right? It really, really makes a difference. It's something that was a hidden hallmark of this campus, and it does get noticed. When we've had military personnel on this campus, they have noticed right off that they do not see the level of politeness. The other place they see the level of dispoliteness is at service academies. It really is a hidden gem of Wabash, and I encourage you, as much for some of you, and for some of you might still be a little shy sometimes, to really take an effort to wish people good morning when you're passing them, okay? Continue your support of this Wabash community. I was so excited by last year. It didn't matter whether it was a soccer game, a track meet, a play, a celebration of student research, an art opening, or recital. Students started showing up. They started getting enthusiastic. I'm telling you, watching the soccer team and some of the cheers you guys were doing, that just made me happy, right? Yes, it's great we turn out for football. Yes, it's great we turn out for basketball, but let's turn out for everything. Let's support those guys who are your dorm mates, your teammates, right? It might be a different sport. So let's continue doing that. Now, earlier I mentioned the emotional toll the pandemic has exacted on all of us. And some campus data bears this out. So let's continue to destigmatize mental health. On the recently released Princeton Review rankings, Wabash rated highly for best student support and counseling services. I'll relate a story from last year where a fraternity president texted his professor who said that I'm probably going to be late for the exam because I am taking a freshman over to the counseling center because he's in distress and needs some help. That, gentlemen, is the thing that we should all continue to do, is looking out after each other. Now, I might have come out to a big banger anthem, but I'm also going to say this. Let's stop thinking that boys shouldn't cry or that it's a sign of weakness. Increasingly, I am not afraid to shed tears of grief or joy or sadness or appreciation for something profoundly beautiful, in public or even in front of others. I am not afraid to tell you that I have struggled with anxiety, with depression, and most of all, with grief. Now, you can start by attending today's open house at the Counseling Center's new location at the Kendall House. It's the one that's right by the Allen Center with the picket fence. It's from 4:30 to 6. And please, continue your streak. You already started a streak of attending chapel talks. Continue it next week. Next Thursday, Leslie Wyrick will speak on suicide prevention. I saw her at the Wabash Club of Indianapolis Leadership Breakfast, and she has a powerful Wabash story that all of us should hear. Continue making a lasting and meaningful impact on others. I found that some of the most effective methods for doing this are not necessarily the grand gestures. 10 years ago, I camped out in the Vonnegut Library for the entire week of Banned Books Week to protest censorship. I'm so glad I solved that problem. And while I believe in grand gestures and standing up for people and standing up for others, I truly think that one of the best ways you can make a lasting and meaningful impact on others is on the personal, intimate level. They happen when you tell someone that you love them, and even and especially if it's your Wabash brother. They happen when you hug out of joy and excitement and friendship. They happen when you stir from a self-consumed reverie to notice someone who really needs help. They happen when you say this statement loudly and confidently: you are not alone. And they happen when you hear this message and you come to actually believe it. Finally, continue the level of excitement that I've been seeing this school year. Continue living the mission of this college. And you, my friends, will continue to make us all proud of this good place. Thank you.